Okay, so ready to map some stars.
Sounds fun. Lead the way.
All right, today we're going to be diving deep into, well, we've got Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, then we're going to jump into futures market logic.
Futures and market logic.
Okay, and then we're going to take a hard right turn into the law of one, this channel text.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a journey.
I know, it's kind of all over the place,
Yeah.
right? So I'm sure people are like, what? How are those even connected?
Yeah. What's the thread there?
Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to find the thread.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
See if we can pull out some interesting insights about like the nature of time, what it
Yeah.
means to be human,
Right. Yeah.
and maybe even some bigger picture principles. So I'm really curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, me too. Let's get started.
Okay, so to do that, we've got a couple of sources. So we've got this document called of time loops and derivatives.pdf.
Okay.
And that's going to be our kind of way into Interstellar.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, kind of from this economic perspective.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, totally unexpected. And then we're going to be jumping into the law of one, which is also called the RA material.
Right.
And these books are actually transcripts of communications with this entity, this being called Ra.
That's right. And these started back in 1981.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
So for you, the learner, what we're going to try to do is see if we can pull out some key insights about, time, what's our experience, as humans.
Right.
And maybe even some broader principles. So, we're aiming for that balance of like quick but thorough.
Perfect. I like that.
All right, so let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So Interstellar economic angle, what do we got?
So this document called Of Time Loops and Derivatives.
Yes?
I mean, the thing that really stood out to me was how this film, Interstellar, even though it doesn't really talk about money or policy,
Mm-hmm.
it's still operating on this economic principle,
Oh, interesting.
right? Because humanity's facing, potential extinction.
Mm.
And their solution involves finding a new home, a spatial fix, as they say.
Oh, a spatial fix.
Right. But then they're also grappling with this idea of manipulating time.
Oh, wow. A temporal fix.
A temporal fix, exactly. And it's all about, trying to find a way out of this crisis, which is, that's very much how we think about economics.
Yeah, trying to find a way to secure a future.
Exactly. And the document makes this really interesting connection to our world. It points out that the futures market, this whole system where we trade based on what we think is going to happen in the future.
Right, anticipated values.
Yeah, it's become so ingrained in how our global economy actually works.
Mm.
So you have this fictional scenario in Interstellar where time is like the key to survival.
Right.
But then you see in our actual world, our economic engine, it relies so much on predicting and almost trying to outsmart the future.
So it makes you think, like, how are we actually relating to time?
Exactly. Are we trying to control it? Are we just trying to understand it?
Are we trying to predict it, like, too much?
That's a great point. And it's something that both the film and our reality seem to be grappling with.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a big jump now. Go from economics and Interstellar to the law of one.
Big shift.
Big shift. So these communications, they started in 1981.
Yeah, January 1981.
With this research group, and we're looking at excerpts from books I through 4.
Yeah, it's a lot of material.
It's a lot, and it's important to remember, like, it wasn't just like a one-time thing, right?
Oh, no, not at all. This went on for over 100 sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really dedicated to this contact.
Yeah, so for you, the learner, this isn't just some random collection of thoughts. This is a perspective, a viewpoint that has developed over time.
Right. And it's important to understand the context. The foreword in Book 3, it mentions that their understanding is based on years of studying the UFO phenomenon. Oh, really? Yeah. They even suggest that their earlier book, Secrets of the UFO, is good background reading for this material.
So this is all connected.
Very much so. It's not just isolated ideas, it's a continuation of an evolving line of inquiry.
Yeah, which is really interesting. So, they're coming at this with a specific lens, offering a different way to consider some of life's like big questions.
Exactly. And they really dive into some fascinating concepts. Like even in the early sessions of Book 3, there's a discussion about geometry and dimensions that really caught my eye.
Oh, really? What do they say about that?
Well, it starts with a question about the concept of 90 degrees.
Okay, 90 degrees. Yeah.
But then Ra suggests that maybe this idea of 90 degrees is better understood as a portion of a
A
tesseract.
tesseract. Okay.
So imagine a cube, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then try to picture that cube moving through a fourth dimension. That's a tesseract.
Yeah.
So Ra's hinting at like a whole different way of understanding dimensions and angles that goes way beyond our three-dimensional world.
So like everything we think is fixed is actually just a slice of something much bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're only seeing a tiny part of the whole picture. It's like that old story about the blind man and the elephant, each one only touching a part and thinking that's the whole thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like we're limited by our perspective.
Right, and that limitation extends to our understanding of time, too. Later on, Ra introduces these terms, spacetime and time-space.
Space-time, time-space. Okay.
Yeah, they're almost like mirror images of each other,
Yeah.
and Ra describes them as clumsy but sufficient mathematical descriptions of the relationships of your illusion, that which is seen to that which is unseen.
Okay, so space-time is like the reality we experience, like the physical world and linear time.
Exactly. And then time-space, that's more like this unseen realm of potential, where time might not be linear.
Oh, interesting.
But Ra also cautions that even these concepts, they might not be relevant in the ultimate mystical search for unity.
Because that unity is beyond dimensions.
Exactly, it transcends those limitations.
Wow. So while Interstellar deals with, like, the physical warping of space-time, Ra is suggesting our very understanding of those concepts is limited.
Yes, and maybe even a distraction from a more fundamental reality.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit and talk about free will. Ra makes some pretty powerful statements about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Early on, Ra says that free will has potentiated both the creator of us all and ourselves as co-creators with intelligent infinity which has will.
Okay, break that down for me.
So it's saying that our ability to choose, it's not just a personal freedom.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental force woven into the fabric of creation itself. Both the ultimate source of everything and each individual being, we have the power to shape our experiences through our choices.
So for the learner out there who's always asking why, this suggests that choice is at the very heart of existence.
Exactly. It's an incredibly empowering concept.
I mean, it is. It really makes you think about the weight of our choices, doesn't it?
It does. And this idea of choice leads us to another fascinating concept, wanderers.
Wanderers. Okay.
Yeah. In Raz cosmology, these are beings who've incarnated on Earth from higher densities.
Okay.
But they're here with a specific purpose.
Which is
Service to others.
service to others. Okay.
Section 53 talks about how these wanderers are awakened to their purpose. And the focus is on doing it in a way that minimizes fear.
Yeah.
It's all about maximizing understandable, subjective experiences.
So like through dreams or like waking life experience.
Exactly. It's a gentle nudge, not a forceful push, in line with the principle of free will.
Yeah, so it's not like they're being like abducted and told what to do. It's more like a subtle guiding hand.
Precisely. And that's in stark contrast to another type of contact that Rand mentions, the contact from the Orion group.
Okay, so that's different from the Wanderers.
Oh, yes. Very different. The Confederation, which the Wanderers are associated with, they have this service to others approach. But the Orion group, they're more about service to self.
Ah, okay.
And they tend to target individuals who they perceive as weaker-minded to try and spread their philosophy.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not like a simple good guys versus bad guys scenario when it comes to extraterrestrial contact.
No, not at all. There's a whole spectrum of intentions and approaches at play. It makes you realize just how complex this whole subject is.
Totally. Okay, well, let's switch gears again and talk about energy flow.
Okay.
Ra talks about these energy centers.
Yes.
How does that work?
So Ra describes this incoming energy, this light, that enters what they call the mind-body-spirit complex, which is essentially the whole being.
Okay, so it's not just the physical body.
Right. It's everything, mind, body, and spirit. And this energy, it enters through the feet and the base of the spine.
Okay, so it starts at the ground level.
Yes. And then it moves upwards, and as it does, it's filtered and used by these different energy centers.
And those are often associated with colors, right? Like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Exactly. It's like a rainbow of energy within us. But here's the fascinating part. Ray connects this upward movement of energy to our will or desire emanating from the awareness of inner light.
So our intentions influence how this energy flows.
Yes. It's like our consciousness acts as a conductor, guiding the flow of this universal energy within us.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. It
Yeah.
suggests we have more control over our energetic state than we might realize.
Yeah. Now, Ray also touches on negative polarization and enslavement. How does that fit into this energy dynamic?
So Ray explains that negative polarization is greatly aided by the subjugation or enslavement of other selves.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, the idea is that by controlling or dominating another being, the enslaver actually strengthens their own negative polarity, their focus on self.
Oh, so it feeds their negativity.
Right? While the enslaved being, they lose polarity. But it also creates a desire in them to regain it.
And they might try to do that through similar means, perpetuating the cycle.
Exactly. It's a system that thrives on imbalance and suppression.
Yeah, it's a heavy concept.
It is. And it's important to remember that we're just relaying the information as presented in the source material.
Yeah, of course, we're not endorsing any of these ideas, just exploring them. Okay, now let's move on to something a little more concrete, the pyramids.
Okay. Right.
Ra talks about their purpose and design, specifically mentioning the king's and queen's chambers. What's the significance there?
So Ra describes the larger pyramids as carefully designed sets of parameters to distribute light and its energy so as to aid in healing catalysts.
Sealing catalyst.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they specifically mention the king's chamber and queen's chamber as key parts of this design. But Ra also expresses concern that humanity, at this point in our evolution, doesn't have the distortion towards the desire for purity to properly use this technology.
So it's like a powerful tool that we're not quite ready for.
Exactly. And they say that the original purpose of the pyramids has been grossly distorted.
So something designed for healing and positive transformation has been misused.
That's right. Which is really sad when you think about the potential that was there.
Yeah, it is. And what's interesting is that Ross says even just the shape of a pyramid, even just a wire frame, is enough to collect energy.
That's right. The pyramidal shape itself is like an energy collector.
It's all about the geometry.
Exactly. And Ra explains that the spiraling light energy within a pyramid, it starts near the queen's chamber, then it passes through the king's chamber, and it intensifies in the top third.
So there's a specific flow pattern to the energy within the pyramid.
Yes, and it's all connected to the shape itself. It really makes you look at these ancient structures in a whole new light.
It really does. Okay, now there's this rather intense moment mentioned, a psychic attack during one of the sessions.
Yeah, that was a pretty dramatic event.
It sounds like it. What can we learn from that?
Well, Session 64 mentions this incident, and Ra says that this instrument was under specific psychic attack at the time of the beginning of the working.
The instrument, so that's the person channeling, right?
Yes, exactly. And the protection against this attack, Ra describes it as love and praise and thanksgiving to the Creator.
So it was a spiritual defense against a psychic attack.
That's right. And later on, the Orion group, the ones associated with the Southern Cross constellation, they're mentioned again.
Yeah.
And they're described as having this negative pecking order.
A pecking order.
Yeah, focused on separation and power struggle. So it wasn't just a neutral transmission of information. There were opposing forces trying to influence or even disrupt the contact.
Wow, so there's a whole other layer of complexity to this.
There really is. It's like a cosmic drama unfolding behind the scenes.
Okay, well, let's shift gears again and talk about harvest and density. These are like core concepts in the law of one.
Absolutely. Harvest refers to the progression of entities to higher densities of existence.
So it's like an evolutionary leap.
Exactly. And Ra clarifies that positively oriented entities who are harvested, they'll move to a fourth density existence.
Okay.
But it'll be within Earth's sphere of influence, not on the third density plane that we're familiar with.
So it's like a different level of reality, but still connected to Earth.
That's right. And they also mention that there are approximately 60 million wanderers currently on Earth.
60 million? That's a lot of wanderers.
It is. And they're here to help with this transition to fourth density.
So what does this transition actually involve?
Well, Ra describes it as a heating effect on the third density sphere and the activation of a fourth density sphere.
So like a planetary energy shift.
Exactly. We're currently in a transitional phase with a mix of what they call yellow ray and green ray energy environments.
Which is leading to transitional mind-body-spirit complexes.
Yes, exactly. Like we're all kind of in between right now.
Yeah. But eventually, the full activation of the fourth density will mean a planet that's more suited for those who vibrate at that level.
That's right. It's like the planet itself is evolving.
Wow. So we're like witnessing a planetary transformation. Okay, now, session 65, Ra talks about healing. And it's a perspective that might surprise some people.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way of looking at it. So according to Ra, The healer does not heal.
Okay, so what did they do?
They act as a channel. A crystallized healer, Ra says, is a channel for intelligent energy, which offers an opportunity to an entity that it might heal itself.
So the power to heal comes from within.
Exactly. The healer is a facilitator. They provide an opening for the individual's own healing potential to activate.
So it's about creating the right conditions for healing to occur.
Precisely. And Ra emphasizes the importance of the individual's will, their seeking, and their desire, especially how those operate in the time-space aspect of their being.
Time space, that's that unseen realm we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's like the
Yeah.
healing happens on that level first, and then it manifests in the physical body.
So it's a multidimensional process.
Okay. And Ra also brings up the idea of the archetypical mind. What are these archetypes?
So the archetypical mind, as Ra explains it, represents fundamental aspects of the one infinite creation. These archetypes, they communicate with the individual mind-body-spirit complex through intuition.
So intuition is like a language that connects us to these universal patterns.
Yes, and it happens according to the individual's unique electromagnetic configuration of mind.
So we each have our own unique way of receiving this intuitive information.
That's right. It's like we're all tuned to a slightly different frequency. And love, well, love is a huge theme in the Law of One.
It seems to be at the core of everything.
It really does. In session 27 of Book 2, Ra describes love as the great activator and primal co-creator.
Okay, so love is more than just a feeling. It's a creative force.
Absolutely. And Ra explains that vibration is a consequence of love, and light is a consequence of vibration, which then can condense into matter.
Wow. So love is like the ultimate source, the spark that sets everything in motion. That's right. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. It's pretty beautiful when you think about it.
It is. Okay, and Ra refers to the sun as a sublogos. What does that mean?
Well, sublogos, in
Right.
this context, is a differentiated expression of the logos being the creative principle of the galaxy.
Okay.
And Ra explains that our sun, as a sublogos, it played a role in differentiating the experiential components within the patterns of intelligent energy set in motion by the larger logos that created our galaxy.
Okay, so the sun is like a localized center of creative energy within the grand cosmic design.
Exactly, like a specific department within a vast organization, each with its own area of focus, but all part of the same overarching entity.
Right, a division of labor, but for creation.
I like that, a division of labor for creation. And speaking of tools, Ra mentions crystals again, and their effectiveness is tied to the person using them.
Right, because they're energy amplifiers, aren't they?
That's right. And Ra says that their effectiveness in channeling intelligent energy depends on a correspondingly crystallized or regularized or balanced mind-body-spirit complex.
So it's not just about the crystal itself, it's about the resonance and alignment between the crystal and the person using it.
Exactly. It's a partnership. The clearer your inner state, the more effectively you can work with the crystal's energy.
It's like any tool, really. The skill of the user is just as important as the quality of the tool itself.
Absolutely. And in terms of spiritual growth, Ra talks about the green and blue rays in energy transfer.
Okay, what do those represent?
So the green ray, it's a turning point. It represents a shift from receiving to giving.
Okay.
And then the blue ray, that signifies the giving of acceptance or freedom to others.
So green is about giving and blue is about empowering others.
That's a great way to put it. And Ra notes that once green ray energy transfer is established between two entities, then access to higher rays becomes possible, even if both individuals haven't progressed at the same rate.
So one person's growth can help to uplift another.
Exactly. It's like a rising tide lifting all boats.
I like that analogy. Now, Ra also mentions that incarnating entities can choose the amount of catalyst or lessons they'll experience in a lifetime.
Yeah, it's like pre-planning your curriculum. But even with this pre-incarnative planning, free will is still the most important factor.
So you choose the challenges, but you still have the freedom to respond to them in your own way.
Exactly. If you miss one opportunity, another one will inevitably come along. It's all about learning and growth.
Yeah. Now, what about the higher self that Ra refers to?
So the higher self is described as a future aspect of the individual. It resides in the sixth density,
Okay.
and it reviews the lessons learned from third density experiences and helps to plan future incarnations.
But always in alignment with free will,
Absolutely. It's like having a wiser, more experienced version of yourself offering guidance.
a cosmic mentor. Okay, and finally, let's talk about the polarities of service to others and service to self. These come up a lot in the Law of One.
They do. And Ra presents them as the fundamental choices that shape our experience in third density.
Negative polarity or service to self that's strengthened through control and enslavement of others, right?
That's right. But Ra also offers this broader perspective. It's like these polarities are opposite ends of a spectrum.
Okay.
And in the higher densities, they eventually come into balance and understanding.
So it's not about one being better than the other, it's about the journey towards integration.
Exactly. There's even a hint of cosmic humor in the eventual reconciliation of these seemingly opposing paths.
Like in the grand scheme of things, it's all part of the same dance.
Exactly. And speaking of dances, Ra also talks about the veiling process, which affects our conscious and unconscious minds.
The veiling, right. What was the purpose of that?
Well, according to Ra, it was a series of experiments whereby various of the functions or distortions of the body complex were veiled and others not.
So, like, some things were hidden from our conscious awareness.
Yes, and the forgetting we experience between lifetimes, that's a major part of this veiling.
So before the veil, there's no forgetting.
That's what Ra suggests. Incarnating in third density was still about learning love, but without the challenge of remembering and discerning.
So the veiling added a layer of complexity.
It did. And it made the learning process more challenging, but also potentially more rewarding.
Like a cosmic puzzle to solve.
Exactly. And finally, Ra touches upon the logos and its intentions in creation.
The logos. Okay.
So according to Ra, each logos, each galactic creator, wants to create a unique and more eloquent expression of the one infinite creator.
So each galaxy has its own signature.
That's right. But the archetypical minds, those fundamental patterns of consciousness, they can vary between different logo.
So beings from different galaxies might have a really hard time understanding each other.
Yes, because their ways of thinking and perceiving reality could be vastly different.
Wow, that's incredible. So each galaxy is like a unique experiment in creation.
It is. It's a pretty amazing concept.
It really is. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from the economic undercurrents of Interstellar to the profound cosmology of the Law of One.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. We've explored the nature of time, consciousness, energy, and the choices that shape our reality.
And we've seen how these seemingly different topics are actually interconnected in fascinating ways. So for you, the learner, we hope this has sparked some new insights and maybe even some new questions.
Exactly, because the exploration doesn't end here.
So, considering our discussion of time in Interstellar and the cyclical nature of densities in the Law of One, we leave you with this to ponder. How might our understanding of futures, both in our personal lives and in our global systems, shift if we truly grasp the interconnectedness of time and consciousness?
It's a question that could change how we approach the present moment and the possibilities that lie ahead.
And if any of these concepts have resonated with you, we encourage you to dive deeper into the source material. There's a whole universe of knowledge waiting to be explored.
Absolutely. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep expanding your awareness.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.